booties for black girl nerds.
Jack, it's been exciting. We're 3 episodes in now. The conspiracy theorists are going crazy. The purest Marvel fans are going crazy. But what do you think are the most important takeaways from the episodes we've seen so far?
Ooh, what a good question, and what a fabulous top.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's so good, and we match, which I love.
Exactly.
The takeaways, I've been really moved by how much people have connected with Wanda's emotional life. It seems like they're just really dialed in to her and what she's feeling, and the moments that we see a little more sort of peeking out from outside of from sort of the edges of the sitcom, and particularly the end of episode 3 seemed to really resonate with people emotionally. So I mean, that's the stuff to pay attention, and what I find I feel is rewarding that people are picking up on. And then also, with Paul, with Vision, and their love story and their connection. I love how people just seem so connected to their bond. It's wonderful.
It's cute, even though they're not humans. It's so sweet and it's so tender the way they love each other. And as we're finding their journey unfolding up in front of us, what I am enjoying the most about WandaVision is that it's landing now in a time where we do have social media and everyone's talking to each other. Well, what do you think about this? What does this symbolize? Is this an Easter egg? Is this not an Easter egg? And there's really so much fan involvement that normally wouldn't be there. I'd say, I mean, there'd be some, but it's at almost like a hyper speed. Is that stressful for you to do these interviews and try to remember where everyone is at so you don't say too much? Or what's that experience been like for you?
First of all, thank you for asking me about my personal experience. It's just a really nice question. I get very nervous with the interviews because I'm afraid I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I don't want to get in trouble, but I also don't want to negatively impact anybody's experience. And also I don't want to get in trouble. But the social media engagement is a gift that I never could have anticipated. It is so intensely fulfilling and so rewarding. I mean, I and my writers, my producer, Mary, Matt, everybody, we put our full selves into our work. And this show in particular, this show has always felt charmed and really touched by a little something extra. And everybody showed up, everyone who worked on it, the actors, everybody. So to have this real time commitment and feedback from the fans, I really can't put words to how special it is, and I wish it for anybody who writes and creates art. It's thrilling.
What are some of those collaborative conversations are like? Because with this type of source material, it's really specific. A lot of people know the source material, but you have to make it fresh, adaptable for TV and for people to consume it in bites en route to into the big meal. So what are some of those collaborative conversations? What do you guys prioritize for the viewers as you kind of create the arc?
Right. I mean, I think so. In terms of breaking the story and breaking the series, when we first got into the room, I hired a lot of people with influences that were kind of all over the map, and that was one of my questions when I spoke to potential writers. Is I wanted to know what was the content that they loved and why, and so I hired people who loved the Mindy Project, and who loved The Matrix, and who loved Children of Men, and I wanted all of that in the room. I wanted just an enormous mashup of love for content, and I think it was our priority as fans ourselves of content that excites and makes you entertains, and also makes you work, also makes you want to work, makes you want to lean forward. That was what we wanted to provide for our audience, is we wanted to give that same thrill, and to reward audiences, viewers like us,
Mhm.
who show up to try and solve the whole time.
With those viewers, I've noticed that, especially in social and just, amongst my friends in our group texts and things like that, there's a big skew on trying to figure out who is the bad guy. Is Dottie the bad guy? Is Agatha Agnes? Who's in the bumblebee catcher's protective gear? Who is the bad guy? But there's not as much conversation as who are the good folks. We kind of know Rambeau. We know her history of where she is in the Marvel Universe and who she is a child of. But all of these other characters, we don't know if they're good guys, they're bad guys, are they extra, are they pawns? Is there a good guy? Because we know there's obviously going to be a bad guy. So is there a good guy?
Well, I mean, I love this question because what it points to is that, we're trying to explore, the full spectrum of human behavior, and it maybe isn't so simple as good guy and bad guy. I think what makes characters interesting is when they're flawed. And what makes a story compelling is when you fully understand a character's motivation. Even if you don't agree with it, if you can understand it, I mean, I always, in working in the Marvel space, I think about Killmonger so often because he's probably my favorite MCU villain because you understand him so fully, and so many of the points he makes you actually can't really argue against. And I think in when something is that good and so fully realized, the sort of good guy bad guy falls away a little bit. Anyway, so I love that question, and I feel like with our show it just continues to have nuance to it.
As we are making this journey, we're 3 episodes in, and I'm trying to get the temperature of my emotional attachment to Wanda and Vision and all these other people. Are they making me sad? Are they making me happy? And so far, it's been kind of a gradual climb, and then you pull back. Like for instance, in episode 2, I think it's in episode 2, when a glitch happens and Wanda's like, no. And then we go and rewind and we start all over again. As we make our way to the end, what is the emotional payoff? Are we going to be shocked? Are we going to be happy? Are we going to cry? Are we going to be sad? Is it going to be all of those things? Because right now we're watching the joy, and everything that goes up must come down.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything, and I hope for everything. I think that you know this is yeah, that's what I look for in the art that I consume, is I want all the feelings. And that's how I live my life too, is how do I get all the feelings. So yeah, I do think that, I think the one thing I will say is I do believe that our show has a catharsis. And I kind of attribute that to honestly that it's the story of a woman, and there's a lot of female writers on the show, and there's something sort of feminine about the arc of the show, which I love.
And lastly, for the Easter eggs that we've seen the soap with the little octopus on it, and we've seen all these things plugged in. How much say did you get into what the Easter egg looked like for the ones that we've seen so far? Like the little commercial breaks, it's super clever and it's super cool. How much say did you personally or your writers group get into what they actually looked like?
Right. Well, a lot of the majority of the things are in the script and thought through. The actual the Marvel shows and movies are enormous, and the people who work on them are so incredibly talented and experienced. Especially Russell, who did props on this show, has done so many Marvel movies and is so good at his job. So it really wasn't a thing of like, do I have a say on that? It's like Russell makes something awesome, and I am in a corner nodding my head because it's cool.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time. It's such a fun show, and I just want to get it every week so I can see what happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
better shake your booties for black girl nerds.